Ledor, Vador, ancestors sing from the waters. Ledor, Vador, children shout from the trees. Generations to come demand that we act now to heal the earth, for all to thrive under the sun. Ledor, Vador, ancestors share their wisdom. Ledor, Vador, children take the lead. Generations to come demand that we act now to heal the earth, for all to thrive under the sun. Ledor, Vador, Vador. Ledor, Vador, Vador. Ledor, Vador, ancestors call for justice. Ledor, Vador, children chant for peace. Generations to come demand that we act now to heal the earth.
Good evening. We can do better. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to a moral call for peace and climate justice. And I'm so honored to have you here, whether you're here physically present or you're with us online. I'm just glad you're a part of this. And personally, I want to say it's such an honor on behalf of Marble Collegiate Church to host this. Now, I know some of you don't know much about Marble, so if you want to know one thing, I would offer this. We trace our history back to 1628. So we've been around for nearly 400 years. That's a long time. And during that time, we've witnessed change. Change in the city, change in the country, change in the world. Now, I'm proud of our history, but if I'm honest, I have to say sometimes we came down on the right side of history, and sometimes we did not. And because of that, I want to offer two things as we begin this event. The first is this. I want us to remember, recognize, and honor that as we meet on the traditional lands of the Lenape people. So let that be in our hearts and minds throughout this meeting. And as we meet, let's make sure that whatever we decide and do, that we come down on the right side of history when it comes to climate justice. And there is a great sense of urgency around this. There is a sense of urgency because there is a war in Ukraine in which it is funded by Russia through polluting fossil fuels that need to be eradicated. And further, it's disrupted the global supply chain for fuel. And we're wondering, does that mean we need to take a couple steps back, or can we keep going forward? There is a sense of urgency because we feel climate change. Don't we feel it today? It is near a record-breaking heat wave in New York City. It's even worse in India. And every day, lives are being claimed because of it. There is a sense of urgency because those of us who are older, like myself, who participated in creating this mess, are now seeing it directly affect those we love, our children. My son, daughter-in-law, and most beautiful little grandchild live in New Mexico, just miles from the fires. And over these past weeks, we've been watching the news and keeping contact with them, wondering, will they have to leave their home? Will they lose their home? And I'm happy to say that they're safe. There is a sense of urgency from the perspective of my faith. We believe that This earth is a place in which God dwells and we experience the divine. We believe that this is the place where God grounds us and inspires us. And when we destroy and degrade the earth, we destroy and degrade our ability to live fully into who God created us to be. There is a sense of urgency. And that's why I'm so honored and excited to be here with colleagues and fellow faith leaders, political leaders who know there is a sense of urgency. And that if we come together tonight and allow our imaginations to be inspired by the words, the song, and the dance, then maybe, just maybe, we can be moved to collective action and finally pass the needed critical legislation to secure the future of this planet and all who inhabit it. Again, thank you for being here, and I hope you're moved by this program.
Good evening and greetings to our host, Reverend Dr. Michael Boss, our spiritual and community leaders, organizers of tonight's program, and all participants. So before we begin with a prayer for peace, I would like to ask each of you to stand. Are we ready? Become aware of your feet and what you are standing on. Now, turn your heads to the side and take a look at your neighbor. And it's okay to smile. Look to the other side at your other neighbor, and you can smile at them too. Now, look forward toward me again, and you can smile at me too. Now take a deep breath in, hold it, and exhale. Thank you. You may sit down now. What just happened? You touched the earth with your feet. The earth we stand on provides us with everything we need. You look into the face of a fellow human, fellow inhabitant of this beautiful planet Earth. A reminder that we are communal people. You took a deep breath of air, the air that sustains each of us, so precious. Without it, we would perish in a matter of minutes. This and so much more, my friends, are magnificent, bountiful gifts from our Creator. But we are not just recipients of these gifts. They're not just for our own use and consumption, but for all. Our brothers and sisters, neighbors, and for generations to come. Sheer nature of receiving these gifts, being a part of creation, makes us custodians, caretakers of our earth, of our environment, and of each other. As custodians, we need to preserve, protect, and ensure its harmonious development. St. Francis of Assisi the patron saint of ecology, reminds us respect for creation springs not from obligation, but from love. We cannot simply use and control. Putin dangles natural resources in front of our nose like a carrot on a stick, which moves the donkey in whatever direction he decides. He has engineered dependence to guarantee forever customers. Much like the heroin dealer and his addicted customer. Unfortunately, we have enabled and emboldened Putin by becoming his ravenous consumers. In a letter to the participants of the 13th Ecumenical Week entitled Hearing the Cry of the Earth, Integral Ecology in Action, the Ukrainian Catholic Church leader, His Beatitude Sviatoslav, expressed it in this way: man has become the cause and at the same time the victim of the current environmental crisis, which is gaining global proportions. In his encyclical Laudato Si, our care for our common home, Pope Francis reminds us humanity faces not just a number of different crises isolated from one another, but one complex crisis that manifests itself in so many different ways. The indifference and harm being done to the environment is not only about polluted land, water, and air, but includes dangerous attitudes toward other human beings, as well as economic practices that hurt people and the land and resources they depend on. The leadings to serious offenses against human rights and the environmental. So, my brothers, sisters, we have work to do. It may seem overwhelming, and indeed it is, but remember and call upon your faith. With faith, there is a hope, courage, and strength. For the organizers of this initiative, I personally applaud you for taking on this call for action, for inspiring us with moral courage, for moving us from inaction to an action. And now, let's say a prayer for peace from St. Francis of Assisi. O Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. And where there is darkness, light. And where there is sadness, joy. O Divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. For it is in dying that we are born to eternal life. Amen.
Hi there, I'm Rabbi Stephanie Colin from Congregation Beth Elohim in Brooklyn. I want to thank Reverend Dr. Michael Bose for hosting us here this evening, and everybody for being here on this hot, hot day. As we witness climate disasters unfold across the world, threats to peace and human rights caused by the war in Ukraine, and racist, hate-fueled attacks close to home, we are facing an acute convergence of crises, and it is truly devastating. Just this month, 1 billion people in India and Pakistan have weathered a record-breaking and fatal heat wave. Kansas has already suffered an April tornado, and in the American West, another destructive fire season has already begun. It would be easy to feel that all is lost, or simply to feel lost ourselves. But all is not lost, and we are not lost. Can you join me in that for a moment? Ready? All is not lost. We are not lost. In the Jewish calendar, we are at a point in our biblical narrative between Passover and Shavuot, between stuckness and hope. The ancient Israelites at this point have broken free from the oppression of the place that we call Mitzrayim, which means the narrow, constrictive places. And we are headed towards freedom, towards the vision of a better world. And our first stop, what we celebrate on the holiday called Shavuot, is the foot of a mountain called Sinai, where we receive the blueprint for how to build a healthy and safe and just and compassionate world for all people. We are charged there to manifest this world, and we agree to do so. And so we march on towards a hopeful horizon. This is the rhythm of the Jewish people, always journeying from the narrow places of injustice towards what is possible when we act together and with others. We too today are in a narrow place, a pandemic, rising white supremacy, war, and a worsening climate crisis. But we are also on a journey, and we together can emerge from that narrow place and build that vision of the world where we might thrive for generations to come. Not long ago, after months of pressure, it seemed as if Congress was poised to make some of the most significant investments in clean energy, green jobs, and climate justice in our lifetimes by passing the Build Back Better Act. But the forces of denial and delay and destruction once again derailed meaningful climate action. And now we know that negotiations over a federal reconciliation bill that could fund $550 billion in climate solutions, they have restarted. We don't know if Congress is going to pass this bill or any bill like it with big and bold investment, but we know that the forces of the status quo will prevail unless we raise our voices together, we here and we who are online. I don't know where to look to see you folks online. Great. Unless we all join together and raise our voices. As we face a global humanitarian and energy crisis caused by Russia's tragic invasion of Ukraine, some of our elected leaders are buying into false solutions. They think that we can drill, mine, and export our way out of this challenge. But we know that pathway is a fool's errand. Oil, gas, and coal pollute our communities, heat up this planet, and increase our reliance on those intent on making a profit while the world burns, dragging us back towards Mitzrayim, the narrow places. But we are looking forward because we know that our destiny is not Mitzrayim. Using the federal dollars in play right now, instead, towards transitioning to 100% clean energy and pursuing climate justice is the only path forward that would ensure peace, freedom, and a just and livable planet for generations to come. That's the decision point we're at right now. The old ways or something new and different. Last fall, between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, And immediately following Hurricane Henri, many of us gathered in Brooklyn's Prospect Park to sound the call for big and bold climate action. Our keynote speaker was Senator Schumer, who is my congregant at Congregation Beth Elohim, and who is also Majority Leader of the U.S. Senate. Senator Schumer spoke powerfully about how his beloved Brooklyn is at risk from rising sea levels and deadly floods. It is no accident that we are gathering here today in New York, because our senator, Senator Schumer, has a critical role to play in passing meaningful climate legislation. He is a person who looks at his own grandkids and looks at his tradition, and he knows well the call of that hopeful horizon. Senator Schumer and his fellow policymakers need us now to raise the people's voice, inspiring the moral courage that this moment calls for. We've gathered here today because that timeline is now, to work together with our elected officials to be good stewards of this earth and good ancestors to our children and our children's children and theirs. In the Psalms we read, Min ha-metzer karati ya anani v'merchav ya. From the narrow place I call out to you, God. Answer us with expansiveness. We are leaving the narrow place now of fear and of loss, and we are heading towards the expanse. Senator Schumer and all members of Congress, we know you are listening to this voice, and we've got your back to take the powerful action needed for a livable, sustainable, beautiful, and just future. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sharon Rebar, and I'm with the Cairo Center for Religion, Rights, and Social Justice and the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival.
And I'm by Margot Hughes Robinson, and I'm here from Trua, the Rabbinic Call for Human Rights.
And we're here to ground us in song this evening. In just a moment, I'm going to ask you to stand with us. But I wanted to share a word about the song that we're going to open with. And it's a song that says, "May this body be a bridge for the healing of the land." It's a song that was birthed at the struggle of Standing Rock, a struggle that was a call to action and continues to be a call to action. And the song was written by a woman named Tay Martin, who was there as a water protector, and there watching the militarized force that was surrounding the water protectors of Standing Rock, forces that we know too often are used to protect profits, to extract resources from our land and create suffering in our communities. And this song is a song that echoes the community that was built there, that brought people from all over the country, from all over the world to stand together and to be the bridge that we know can call out for justice and can call out to cleanse ourselves from greed and call for a healing and a rebirth that we are called to be in. And so with that, I'm going to ask you to stand. And actually, if you can face inward, face one another, I would like us to look at each other as we sing this song, rather than looking forward. And we'll do it as a little bit of a call and response to begin. Yeah, you can look across the aisles, maybe. Like, you don't have to face each other in your aisles, but like look across the aisle. We're being a bridge over the aisle here. And so I'm going to start it. I will sing it, and then you will respond. Margot will sing the response, and you can sing with her as we learn it this evening. And it says, "May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land.
May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land.
May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands.
May the river cleansing greed from our hands.
We are born from the water.
We are born from the water.
We are made from the land.
We are made from the land.
Teach us, oh great mother.
Teach us, oh great mother.
To bring peace to the land.
To bring peace to the land.
May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land.
May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land.
May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands.
May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands.
We are born from the water.
We are born from the water.
We are made from the land.
We are made from the land.
Teach us, oh great mother.
Teach us, oh great mother.
To bring peace to the land.
To bring peace to the land.
We're going to do it one more time all together. We're going to not do the call and response. Here you go. May this body be a bridge for the healing of this land. May the river flow through us, cleansing greed from our hands. We are born from the water. We are made from the land.
Made from the land.
Teach us, oh great mother, to bring peace to the land.
Assalamu alaikum. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. My name is Hanadi Dola. I am Director for Community Partnerships at the Interfaith Center of New York. Islam teaches us to take care of the earth. As Muslims, we believe that humans should act as guardians or khalifas of the planet, and that they will be held accountable by God for their actions. God afforded humans with trusteeship over creation. It is their responsibility to take care of nature. Therefore, caring for nature means serving God. Being stewards of God's creation, humans have to carefully manage natural resources, as different verses in the Quran warn against their overexploitation and wastage. In fact, we need to look no further than the Quran for guidance, where there are approximately 200 verses concerning the environment. Muslims are taught that greater indeed than the creation of man is the creations of the heaven and the earth. Chapter 40, verse 58. The reality is that nothing could be more Islamic than protecting God's most precious creation, the earth. There are many principles that guide Islamic teaching on environmental sustainability, and the first is the concept of trusteeship. Being a guardian, one should take all necessary steps to ensure that the entrusted property is passed on to the next generation in as pure a form as possible. According to Islam, each person is the custodian of nature and must live with harmony with other creatures. It is the duty of all Muslims to respect, nurture, and care for the environment. Corruptions of all kinds, including environmental corruption, which includes industrial pollution, environmental damage, and reckless exploitation, and mismanagement of natural resources, are disliked by God. Environmental conservation is a religious duty as well as a social obligation, and not an optional matter. The exploitation of a particular natural resource is directly related to accountability and maintenance of the resource. A clean energy, sustainable future for everyone ultimately rests on the fundamental shift in the understanding of how we value the environment and each other. Islam's teachings, which emphasize the duty of humans as stewards of this earth and the teacher's role as an appointed guide to correct behavior, provide guidance to take the right action on climate change. The Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, clearly forbade destruction of trees and crops even during war times. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, gave high degree of importance towards sustainable cultivation of land, waste minimization, human treatment of animals, preservation of natural resources, and protection of wildlife. The world is beautiful and verdant, and verily God, be He exalted, has made you His stewards in it, and He sees how you acquaint yourselves. Sahih Muslim. The Prophet, peace be upon him, recognized that natural resources should not be overexploited or abused. In order to protect land, forests, and wildfire, the Prophet created inviolable zones known as haram and hima, in which resources to be left untouched. Haram areas were drawn up around wells and water sources to protect the groundwater from overpumping. Hima applied to the wildlife and forestry and designated areas where an area of land where grazing and woodcutting was restricted, or where certain animal species, such as camels, were protected. The earth is our home, and God has created it for us as a place of settlement. When we neglect the rights of the environment, we not only disrupt a perfect balance, we also cause ourselves and future generations to suffer. The environment is a blessing for us. This is not a one-way relationship where we can take from the world without giving anything back. Since the beginning of humankind, we have always been responsible for protecting the environment as much as it protects us. Thank you.
Namaste, salam alaikum, sastriyakal, shalom, and good evening, everyone. My name is Aminta Kilawan Narayan, and I am a co-founder of Sadhana Coalition of Progressive Hindus, the founder and director of South Queens Women's March, and I am a human. Before I begin, I ask that we take a brief moment of silence for the lives lost in Buffalo earlier this month to senseless violence. Thank you. Hindus refer to our duty on this earth as our dharma, our moral obligation. Dharma is protecting all living beings. It is to cherish, to nourish, to protect the sanctity of those beings. So when I say namaste, it's an acknowledgement of each and every one of your divinity. We are all divine beings as it pertains to Hinduism, and we owe it to ourselves and to the generations that are going to come after us to care for each other, to think about how our actions impact each other, positively and negatively, to do something when we know that humanity is in danger. Since 2012, 10 years ago, Sadhana has been performing our sadhana, and sadhana means faith in action, at the water's edge every month at Jamaica Bay in Queens, New York. We've been advocating for our people to perform eco-friendly worship. We clean up this beautiful sanctuary because that is our dharma, to each other and to the entire ecosystem living there. We are Hindus acting in the name of justice, not just for Hindus, but for all of humanity. So whether it's immigrant rights, gender justice, racial justice, homophobia, transphobia, or environmental justice, we've performed our sadhana because prayers alone are not enough. Today, we come together for specific action. We're here to call on Congress to exercise short-term and long-term vision, to do right by communities in this country, to bring clean energy, care, good jobs, and justice to all, especially to BIPOC people, because we know that these are the people who are disproportionately impacted by this climate crisis. It should not cost so much for families to purchase food. It shouldn't cost so much for families to get fuel to go from place to place. It shouldn't cost so much for us to find safe and affordable housing. It shouldn't cost so much for us to get our most basic needs met, but yet it does. So we need to do something, and we need to do it now. If you're a person of faith, and I think all of us are, every single religious tradition teaches us to be kind to one another. Anything less than passing the instant legislation would run afoul of that kindness. The divine can be found in Earth's creation, in Bhagavad Gita, which is a scripture that Hindus ascribe to, chapter 10, verses 21 to 31. Lord Krishna, considered by many to be the supreme manifestation of God, says that of lights I am the radiant sun, among stars I am the moon, of bodies of water I am the ocean, of all trees I am the banyan tree, among beasts I am the lion, of the purifiers I am the wind, of fishes I am the shark, and of flowing rivers I am the Ganges. Krishna identifies his personal divinity in what is most beautiful, awe-inspiring, intense, and life-giving in the ecology of Earth's creation. And as devotees of Krishna, we are encouraged to be one with the divine through the elements, through energies, and the creatures of this earth. Therefore, we must be moved to better protect our earth, our goddess, our Prithvi Ma, as we refer to her. When we destroy the earth, we are simultaneously destroying ourselves. And when I think of the state of the world, I think of a popular song that's sometimes sung in Indo-Caribbean Hindu temples. My family hails from Guyana in the Caribbean, and it goes like this. देख तेरे संसार की हालत क्या हो गई भगवान कितना बदल गया इंसान कितना बदल गया इंसान O Lord, look at the state of your world. What is happening? How much has humankind changed? The sun, the moon, and the clouds have remained constant, but humankind has undergone tremendous change. This causes immense uneasiness. जो हम आपस में न करते बने हुए क्यों खेल भी करते काहे लाखों घर ये उजड़ते क्यों ये बच्चे माँ से बिछड़ते फूट फूट क्यों क्यों रोते प्यारे बापू की प्राण कितना बदल गया इंसान कितना बदल गया इंसान If we continue fighting amongst ourselves, the process of deterioration will only intensify, this song says. How many houses are on fire? Why are so many children no longer besides their mothers? Bapuji weeps to see the pitiful condition of this world. Wake up, world. And I close with a principle from a Sanskrit text called the Upanishads, and it means, we are one family. Vasudevam Kutumbakam. So I ask you to just repeat after me. We are one. We are one. We are one. Thank you all.
Good evening. We start this evening with a moral call for peace and climate justice. We start the evening with the recognition that we continue to experience racial conflict, the COVID-19 pandemic, and the climate crisis. Now, this is especially dire for communities of color and indigenous peoples who are most vulnerable to climate change because they are often the first and worst hit by extreme weather events that exacerbate the legacy of pollution and the environmental degradation in their communities. Now, these events expose their lack of financial and family resources to be resilient in the face of such adversity, while they try to also understand that they lack access to clean air and water, healthy homes and schools, and sustainable communities. Now, the environmental justice crisis results from a complex legacy of housing segregation, land use and zoning discrimination, and inequitable environmental law enforcement. It's a systemic governmental and institutional environmental racism that has resulted in disproportionate exposures to environmental hazards and polluting facilities, contributing to health disparities, lowered IQ, and shortened lifespans for frontline communities known as sacrifice zones. Now, many of us here tonight are climate activists. We're ready to lead the nation, our region up the path toward achieving a just, responsible, and ethical climate change future because we can achieve decarbonization and a safer future by advocating for policies and initiatives that protect the most vulnerable communities of our country. And we can do that by taking action to create a just transition to a clean, renewable energy economy and future. Now, to achieve that, we're developing new policies at the city, state, and federal levels to address the challenges experienced from Hurricane Katrina and Sandy, who hit New York City. And in 2019, we helped pass New York City's Local Law 97, requiring the city's largest buildings to reduce emissions by 40% by 2030 and 80% by 2050. Now, why? Why did we do that? Because 70% of the city's greenhouse gas emissions come from these buildings. And last year, WE ACT also helped achieve a gas ban on all new construction. The New York Renews Coalition that WE ACT has been a part of helped pass New York State's Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act. It's called the CLCPA, and it requires the state to reduce greenhouse gas emissions 40% by 2030 and no less than 85% by 2050. And it requires that disadvantaged communities receive 40% of the overall benefits of spending on energy, clean energy, and energy efficiency investments. Now, this was a model for the Biden administration's Justice 40, where it aims to distribute 40% of the benefits of energy investments to frontline communities. Now, I co-chair the White House Environmental Justice Advisory Council, which is advising the administration on the implementation and evaluation of the Justice 40 initiative. Now, this work is slow and challenging as the administration really seeks to initiate a transformative process and consciousness throughout 20 or more federal agencies. Now, on the housing front, advocates are working to address code violations that saw some New Yorkers drown in their basement apartments from flash flooding. Our advocacy regarding LIHEAP, the Low-Income Home Energy Assistance Program, at the state and federal levels, it has increased the assistance for not only heating, but cooling, since the urban heat island effect will increase in intensity each year, with 50% of those who die prematurely from heat stress each year in New York, 50% are African-American New Yorkers. Now, we've made good progress at the city and state level here in New York on some of these issues, but we must take advantage of the political moment and help the administration achieve its climate, social, and environmental goals. We will need Senator Schumer and Representative Maloney to consider how to achieve our common goals, but in uncommon ways. We'll need their help to navigate the infrastructure and Justice for the investments coming into the state. And we must ensure that the funds and benefits are targeted to the frontline communities for which they were intended. Now, to achieve any and all of our goals, we must unite for collective understanding, for collective action. We must understand our challenges, our perspectives, and align our values. We have to be the change makers. We have to be the change we seek. Thank you, and good night.
Thank you, Peggy, co-founder and executive director of We Act for Environmental Justice right here in Manhattan and Harlem. And to all the faith leaders who joined us today for their powerful words. My name is Phil Arnianu. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Dayenu, a Jewish call for climate action. Great to see you all here. And all of you up on the live stream, welcome. All of us New Yorkers and across the country coming together from diverse faith traditions, finding common ground and shared purpose are calling for urgent action on the climate crisis. You heard it from all of the speakers today. We offer a moral call to action because just as in Jewish tradition, the ancient Israelites brought their unique gifts, their talents, and treasures to build the Mishkan or tabernacle, the earthly dwelling, so too must we all contribute to the protection of the sacred earth we call home. That story isn't just metaphorical. It holds a powerful message that must resonate with our members of Congress in Washington, D.C. We need them to bring their unique gifts of their constituents, your power, your voices, to this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to help address the existential crisis of climate change. After months of negotiations and the passage of a landmark bill in the House of Representatives, climate and clean energy legislation remains stalled in the U.S. Senate, and the window of opportunity is closing. We need our lawmakers to find the moral courage to overcome the powers of denial and delay, the oil companies, the petro-dictators who benefit from the status quo. And we need them to pass this legislation at the scale that science and justice demand. So in a minute, you're going to hear and see video messages from New York lawmakers and climate champions. First, you'll hear from Representative Carolyn Maloney, in whose district we've gathered today. We'll hear from Representative Jerry Nadler, a champion on these issues and a chair of the House Judiciary Committee. And lastly, you'll hear from Senator Schumer, who, as you heard from Rabbi Cohen earlier, has a particularly important role to play in getting this legislation across the finish line. And after tonight's program, after we've heard all these powerful calls to action from faith leaders, after we've danced and prayed and sang together, all of you have a really important role to play. Our elected leaders need to know that climate action is urgent and crucially important, that kicking the can down the road will put us on a pathway to disaster. I'm asking you, after tonight's program is over, to make a call to your senators. I know you've probably called your senators dozens of times in the past few months, and it can sometimes feel like it's just talking into a void. But we know they pay attention. They've told us they pay attention. And there is no more crucial moment than now to make sure that they're paying attention. Your call can help make a difference. You can use our easy call tool and script at dayenu.org/call. And for those of you in the room, it's on your little program. Can you folks in the room raise your hand if you're planning to make a call after this? Amazing, incredible. I know we can do this if we come together. So now over to Representative Maloney.
Thank you so much to Dayenu for inviting me to speak and for convening this important event for peace and climate justice. Climate change is an existential threat, one that we cannot afford to ignore. In fact, according to the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, unless countries drastically accelerate their efforts to cut emissions, it will not be possible to limit global warming by 1.5 degrees Celsius by the end of the decade. But we cannot let that happen. That is why I've supported bills that take bold action to combat the climate crisis, including the Green New Deal and the Environmental Justice for All Act. I have also introduced transformative legislation like the Justice and Power Plant Permitting Act, which would bar major sources of air pollution from being permitted when they harm the health and well-being of our communities. I also support the movement to electric cars, which will cut the emissions of fossil fuels dramatically in our country. Throughout my time as an elected official, my faith has guided me to take action to respect and preserve our precious planet. But climate change is not the only threat some are facing. For the last few months, Vladimir Putin's Russia has tried to brutalize and subjugate the peaceful, sovereign nation of Ukraine. We must do all we can to promote peace and justice for the Ukrainian people. I will continue to do so until the Ukrainian people can live free from fear and violence once and for all. Yesterday, I chaired a confidential briefing with the Biden administration on the situation in Ukraine. There were many positive developments, including we will be reopening our embassy in Kiev. I thank you for inviting me. America is committed to work with the world community for peace and justice for all.
Hi, I'm Congressman Jerry Nadler, and thanks for allowing me to give you greetings this afternoon. Climate change is the most existential threat we face on this planet. It threatens frankly, the ability to exist of every human being. The heat waves we're seeing, where people were 120 degrees, 130 degrees, are becoming normal, and human beings cannot survive this. We must take action to prevent this. This is the worst threat that humanity faces. That's why I'm a sponsor of an original co-sponsor of the Green New Deal with Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Ed Markey. It is essential legislation, more essential than anything else. We hope to get it into the reconciliation bill, and that's the way to pass it. And I cannot overstress how important this is.
Hello, everybody. This is Senator Chuck Schumer. And thank you so much to Dayenu for bringing us all together this evening. This is a moment of truth, not only for our country, but for our entire world. Each passing year, climate change's threats grow stronger and stronger, hurting most of all the poor, the refugee, and those least able to support themselves. Meanwhile, peace and democracy are under assault in Ukraine, where Vladimir Putin is waging an immoral war in an attempt to bring the Ukrainian people to their knees. And of course, we are so heartbroken by the recent shooting in Buffalo, perpetrated by a racist white supremacist whose worldview was utterly poisoned by purveyors of bigotry and hate. I was in Buffalo Tuesday and saw how the people were suffering as a result of the bigotry. I even met a 3-year-old boy whose father went to the supermarket to buy him a birthday cake and was shot and killed. But tonight, all of us as New Yorkers, as Americans, as people of different faiths united in prayer, stand with the people on Buffalo's east side. We are heartbroken by the innocents whose lives have been cut short, and we commit to working however we can to advance the cause of peace, justice, and security across the world. But to do that, we must focus on what matters most, preserving our planet for generations to come. The Ukraine crisis and the climate crisis are not disconnected occurrences. No, we know too well that fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas only serve to fund Putin's war machine while burning up the planet. That's why tackling these interconnected issues is one of my highest priority as Senate Majority Leader. Climate change, gun violence, bigotry against people of color and Jews. These are all things I've cared deeply about my entire career, and Senate Democrats are working right now to make progress wherever we can on these important issues. I believe it's a moral obligation. Our kids and grandkids deserve to live in a clean, vibrant, and safe country and planet. We all have a lot of work to do to achieve that vision, But together, as faith leaders and advocates and policymakers uniting together, I truly believe we can get it done. Nothing is more important, no cause more worthy of our pursuit. So thank you all, and my very best.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting us to participate in this event. Thank you, Marble Collegiate Church, for hosting this event, and for Dahlia and Dayenu, for bringing this event together and bringing us of different faiths together with a common cause. So my name is Nancy Lawrence. I'm a member of St. Francis Xavier Church and also the coordinator of our steering committee for Metro New York Catholic Climate Movement.
I'm Cam Stewart, also a member at Xavier, and work with Nancy on the environmental ministry.
So the prayer tonight that we're reading is a version of the Beatitudes that was inspired by the encyclical of Pope Francis, Laudato Si. It was an encyclical that he addressed to the whole world out of concern for what is happening to our environment. And interestingly enough, I've met more non-Catholics that have read this encyclical than Catholics. So we'd like to read this version of the Beatitudes. Blessed are those who heal the wounded earth,
For they will be restored to right relationship with all of creation.
Blessed are those who hold the space for dialogue with the natural world, God, and each other.
For they will hear the fullness of life.
Blessed are those who repent for life lost at human hands.
For they will be forgiven by the cosmic Christ.
Blessed are those who enter into relationship with the natural world.
For they will know the intrinsic value of all of God's creation.
And blessed are those who discern the voice of creation.
For they will receive the will of God in a language not our own.
Blessed are those who see the eyes of their heart.
For their vision will imagine the potential for new life to emerge.
Blessed are those who nurture the needs of the living and non-living world.
For they will be nourished in body and spirit.
Blessed are those who live simply.
For their discipline will bring harmony with the rhythms of life.
Blessed are those who cultivate a life of prayer.
For they will know an inner cosmos that honors the outer world.
Blessed are those who participate in civil affairs.
For they will bring the cry and song of the earth to systems of power and policy.
And blessed are those who practice gratitude.
For they will receive the gift of abundance.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we're coming to the end of the program, which means we owe some thank yous to people. I want to thank our speakers and performers. What amazing words and beautiful job. Thank you so much. Also to our sign language interpreter, Aaron Murray, thank you. I want to thank our nearly 36 sponsors. When you organize an event and you have too many to list or say verbally, that's a good thing. But they're going to scroll on the screen, so make sure you pay attention to who they are. And not in my notes, but somebody I think we need to thank is the one who has called us together, Dayenu. So let's give them a shout out and great appreciation for all they're doing. I also want to thank our Marble team, the team that produced the live stream, the facilities people and the security team. I don't know if you know this, but we do here. They are simply the best. So thank you for all you do. And lastly, a thank you to you for being here or live streaming with us. I hope you leave inspired and ready to act. And now we're going to close with a song.
Thank you again to Reverend Dr. Boss and to Marble Collegiate Church for hosting us tonight. Again, to Dayenu for bringing us together, and to everyone here in the room and joining us online for this chance to be together for this powerful moral call for climate justice.
And before we close out, I want to thank Dayenu for offering this space to do one more call for action as we stand together and continue to push all of our, yes, you can stand, we are gonna stand, thank you. But as we do a call that we wanna call our senators tonight to make sure that we're passing this important legislation, I would also invite you to join the Poor People's Campaign, a national call for more revival in Washington, D.C. on June 18th. Thank you. For our mass Poor People's and Low-Wage Workers Assembly and Moral March on Washington. We've heard so much this evening about the interlocking injustices that have brought us all together, and we know time and time again that those most impacted by these interlocking injustices are poor people and people of color, and that we have to stand together and say no more. No more, there is enough, and we have a chance to set it right. Right? And so we're going to close out this evening, and we are lifting up our voices out into our phone calls this evening, out into our buses, and all of us that are going to be coming together in Washington, D.C., and saying, there's a great trouble in this land, but we're going to set it right again. And so your part in the song is you're going to say, we're going to set it right again. And it's a little call and response here. You'll get it. And we're going to get some clapping going. It's hard with the mics, so please help me out here. Here we go. There's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. Oh, there's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. There's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. We're going to set it right again. Let's do that one more time. You're getting warmed up. There's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. Oh, there's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. There's a great trouble in the land. We're going to set it right again. We're going to set it right again.
We need clean water and healthy food.
We're going to set it right again. We need clean water and healthy food. We're going to set it right again.
We need clean water and a healthy food.
We're going to set it right again. We're going to set it right again. We need healing across the land. We're going to set it right again. Oh, we need healing across the land. We're going to set it right again. Oh, we need healing across the land. We're going to set it right again. We're going to set it right again.
We need justice across this land.
We're going to set it right again. Oh, we need justice across this land. We're going to set it right again.
We need some justice all across this land.
We're going to set it right again. We're going to set it right again. And we're building a movement. We're building a movement across the land. We're going to set it right again. Oh, we're building a movement across the land. We're going to set it right again. We're building a movement across the land.
We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right again. We're gonna set it right. Here we go. We're gonna set it right again. One more so the people outside can hear ya. We're gonna set it right again. Thank you all for coming out. Have a good evening.
Saying something about blonde hair. Jesus, black life ain't matter. I know I talked to his daddy. Say you the man of the house now. Look out for your family. He has ordered my steps, gave me a sword with a crest, and gave Donnie a trump in case I get shortness of breath.
I'm gone. Praise him till I'm gone.
Don't be mad.
I'm gone. Praise him till I'm gone. When the praises go up, good God, the blessing come down.
Good God,
when the praises go up, oh, good God, the blessings come down.
The blessings come down.
When the praises go up, oh, the blessings come down.
The blessings come down.
When the praises go up, oh, the blessings come down.
Good God. They booked the nicest hotels on the 59th floor with the big wide windows with the suicide doors. Ain't no blood on my money, ain't no Twitter in heaven. I know them drugs isn't close, ain't no visit in heaven. I know the difference in blessings and worldly possessions, like my ex-girl getting pregnant and her becoming my everything. I'm at war with my wrongs. I'm writing 4 different songs. I never forged it or forfeited. I'm a force to be reconciled. They want 4-minute song. You need a 4-hour praise dance performed every morn. I'm feeling shortness of breath, so Nico grab you a horn. Hit Jericho with the buzzer beater to end the quarter. Watch brick and mortar fall like dripping water. God!
I'm gone. Praise him till I'm gone.
Good God!
I'm gone. Praise him till I'm gone. When the praises go up,
good God!
The blessings come down.
The blessings come down.
When the praises go up, the blessings come down.
The blessings come down.
When the praises go up, the blessings come down.
For your blessings.
When the praises go up, the blessings come down.
For your miracle. Are you ready? 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 It seems like blessings keep falling in my lap.
This